A very warm welcome to all my viewers to Sentinel's Newsmakers. Before I welcome my panel and introduce them, here is a brief about today's topic, a very pertinent issue. It has taken center stage. A lot of debate and discussion has already happened. It is concerning our children and their education. Already a lot of discussion. In fact, petitions are being filed before courts. A kind of a movement has already gained momentum in different parts of the country. It is to do about what is the right time to reopen the schools for our children as we continue to see a spiraling ahead of the number of COVID cases across the country. So the topic today, the issue that we are going to discuss today is about our children, their education, their future, and when will it be the right time to open the schools one more time. So let me welcome my panel. Now I have Manju Choudhury. She is an educationist with experience of over 30 years. On the panel is Dr. Srutimala Duara. She is a writer and educationist. There's Maitrayee Anirudh. She is the homemaker. I have Juhie Saboo with me. She is the chairperson, FICCI Ladies Organization, the Northeast chapter. Also on the panel today is Roopa Baruah. She is the director producer. And also joining us on the panel is Lima Das, the actor. A very warm welcome to all you lovely ladies this evening. Wonderful to have you on the show today. So first, I would like to start with you, Juhie. You are a mom. Of course, you have your professional introduction that's there, but today we will be interacting with each one of you as moms and with Manju ma'am and Shrutimala as educationists and academicians with immense experience that you have seen schools and colleges over the years. Would want to hear from you on everything that is to do with the education system. Uh, so would like to start with you, Juhie. What are the thoughts that crosses your mind as a mom here in Guwahati? Because why I come to you first is because the Education Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma had mentioned some days back that the government is looking at reopening the schools maybe later this month. Even if he's saying that it could be for class 10 and 11, but nonetheless, the discussions, the mulling has begun. So, what are your thoughts?
So, as a mom, and whether it's the younger kids that I have or parents at large
Yes.
with kids who are going to school, and above all other interests that we would have for our kids in our minds and our hearts, the most important, I think, at any given point of time is their health, their safety, their security.
Yes.
And in the given circumstances, uh, fear is reigning high. It hasn't gone away anywhere. In fact, the uncertainty seems to be looming larger,
Right.
and with the possibility of schools reopening and classes opening,
Yes.
I don't think there is preparedness amongst the parents, because the
Right.
academic interest is there, the objectives are there, and honestly speaking, for working parents or even for stay-at-home parents, having the kids home is an additional responsibility
Yeah.
to the day's routine, so to say, very very rudimentally.
Right.
But having said that, keeping the interests in mind, going back to school is not something that any one of us would be prepared for. Whether I look
Absolutely.
at the forum of parents that I'm at, whether it's the dialogue that we have, informal dialogue that we have with the school that our kids go to, and academicians, while
Yeah.
there is a need to get back and embrace the new normal, but I don't think we as adults are there yet. And
Right.
putting our kids out there doesn't seem like anything in the likelihood anywhere in the near future.
Okay.
I
Okay.
could
Let
say
me
that
begin.
almost like a paintbrush, for
Right.
most parents.
Right. Okay. Before I go to Manju ma'am on this and to Srutimala, let me bring in Lima here. Lima, what are your thoughts?
Hi, Oineetom. Not only as a mother here, I would also like to talk as a health professional, as and also as an educator. Like Juhi said, are we really ready for this? How much
Right.
do we actually know about this virus? this pandemic. And what about children? How much do we know about this disease in children? We really don't know much. They're only guesses. We think that it is not so dangerous in children, but we have seen very severe cases as well. And if you go through the World Health Organization guidelines, there's
Right,
a set of guidelines which have been set up to guide policymakers and educators. So, how much of homework have we really done, to send
right,
our children to school at this point of time? I really
right.
don't know. I really don't know, and I really don't think that we are prepared enough.
Right. I'd like to bring in Manju ma'am here. Manju ma'am, after that, I would like to go to Shrutimala here. Manju ma'am, of course, like I said in the introduction, you have been around for over 30 years, and you are much well aware than I am about the condition, the infrastructure of our schools, the state in which they are. I mean, yes, private schools may be a little bit better, but the government schools, I just don't need to say much. So, what do you think? The discussion that is happening right now, the line of thinking that the government is into, and the way parents are reacting to it. What are your views? Manju ma'am, if you can,
I
yeah,
agree with Juhie and Lima. Can you hear me?
yes,
Can you hear me?
yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? I do agree with what Juhie said and what Karima said, that are we really prepared to send our children to school at this stage? Because corona virus, to annihilate the coronavirus is going to take a long time now, it looks like. And at this stage, just within, as government's guidance, to be within next month or so, I don't think, as Dee says, we're prepared to expose our children at this rate, because I don't think the proper measures have been taken by the government or the school authorities at this stage just now.
Right,
So
right.
I
So,
feel that we should probably. I'm sorry, the
okay.
voice is getting cut off. Can
Yeah. So, ma'am, what you're saying is that maybe this is not the
you
right
hear me?
time. Yes.
Right,
Yeah. So let's
that's
go over.
right. Hello. I think it is. Sorry, can you hear me? I just lost the audio. Can't hear you. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, Oineetom, can you hear me? Uh,
All
Hello.
right. Yes. Yes, we are
Oh,
back.
difficult really.
Yes. The internet
Sorry,
was not at all. The
Oineetom, you've gone off the
was down.
screen.
Yes. And we are back now. I wanted Shrutimala back if
Hello.
we can connect with her, if we can get her back.
Sorry, Oineetom, I think it's that audio is very disturbing here. I'm
Right.
talking of the hill.
Can
The
we get
network is not
Shrutimala?
being. Can you carry on with the others till I get this
Yeah,
organized?
yes.
Yes. Yes, you're
Tell
back.
me.
Yes.
I
Wanted to
missed
hear.
out, missed out, yeah.
Right. So wanted to hear from you. This whole infrastructure space. Many of the schools, many government schools, they don't even have proper toilets. All right, and many of them have been
Right.
turned into, care centers or quarantine centers. When government is talking about whatever the date may be, whether it's later this month, whether it's in July or maybe August, how do you look at this thing? Are we really ready to send our kids back to school? And like Juhie said, doesn't matter which standard we are talking about, whether they're 10, 11, or whether they are just, kids there in class 1 or class 2, kids and young people.
Right. Well, first of all, you see, this is a virus which is totally unknown.
and people always have a fear towards the unknown. Like till we know about it, so we have to think about it as something very we cannot comprehend. There's no control over it. Now today I had read something that Dr. Ambarish Satwik of
Yeah.
Gangaram Hospital, Delhi, had said that treat every person that you come across as a probable COVID-19 carrier of the virus, and treat
Yeah.
every surface that you touch as contaminated. That is, he's not trying to make us all paranoid, but what he's trying to say is that we have to maintain our safety. That is the only way that we can help ourselves stay safe. So, under such circumstances, that if you send children to the school, right, at this point of time, we
Yes.
don't know who are the carriers, right? Because they may be carriers, but they may not have any problem. They're simple, the carriers. It's asymptomatic. So we don't know who are the carriers. So
No
if they go
symptoms.
to the school at this point of time, even a teacher can be a carrier, or as
Absolutely.
any staff member can be a carrier. So how do we ascertain that it's totally safe? Now, here, let
Yes.
me talk about something that, had happened in UK. Because
Okay.
I'm referring to UK because yesterday when I was talking to my son, and
Yeah.
he said that the schools here, class 1, 2, and class 6 students are going to the school because this is the time when they have to sit for their set. This is
Right.
a very important exam for them. Only these three classes. But in that particular school in Leicester, what he was talking about, that only these three classes and they are scattered. But this school had just one gate. And now they
Right.
have made four gates because it's not very difficult for them to construct things overnight. They have got that
Absolutely.
infrastructure. So they have made four different gates so that the students come who are entering that gate can enter, they can come out only through that particular gate. So do we have
Yes.
such infrastructure here? So
Absolutely.
that is the question. So if you
Yes. Let's
open
go
up the
to.
school, where
Yeah.
the students will be going by bus, they will be touching everything, anything on their way. So are our students, are our infrastructure such that to allow students at this point of time?
Right. Let's get Maitrayee in. Before I go to Roopa for her views and comments, let's get Maitrayee in. As a mother, I would like to hear from her. I'm sure every one of us would hear from her. What are her concerns, the fears that are there as a mom? Maitrayee, your fears and concerns. What would you actually want the school authorities to do before you think it's really safe to send your kid in?
Oineetom, I think we have to wait and watch. We should wait at least till we see more of green zones in the country and lesser
Right.
of red and orange zones, according to me.
Yes.
Um, Having said that, I think this is the time when the government can
Really?
encourage the schools
No,
to
it's
get in
closer.
touch
You're
with the
on
parents.
Wi-Fi.
So there should be, I feel we should have a parent teacher interaction, that is a virtual interaction, or you can
Right.
have surveys through which you can assess the comfort levels of the parents, and you
Yeah.
also know what are their expectations, so that when
Okay.
the school is open for 11, 10th standard, 12th standard,
Right.
or for the entire school in July, August, or September, we are
Yes.
ready. We know what is in it for us. So, and I think we should work together. Parents and teachers should work together, come up with a plan. Teachers, and here I mean the parents, sorry, the school should
Yeah.
have a detailed plan, the standard operating procedures, which should detail how to handle the screening process from the time the child enters the school bus or enters the school premises to the time the child leaves the school. And at the same time, how do they handle the hygiene and the safety
Yes.
from that perspective? So I think that is very, very important currently. So
Right.
this is what that should be done. by all the schools before the schools reopen physically.
Yes.
And until
Yes.
then, I think we have the online
Right.
system. I think
Yes.
schools are gearing up for online education, and
Yes.
which is a good thing. And I feel this is the right time to strengthen the what do you call this digital infrastructure in terms
Okay.
of with respect to the Indian education system. So
Right.
this is
Yes.
what we should be doing.
Yes.
Make use
But
of the time for the next 2 months.
yeah. Yeah.
Because definitely, if you ask me as a mother, I don't think it is the right time to let my child go to school, or anyone, whether the child is in a first grade or
Right.
the 10th
Whichever
grade.
standard.
This is definitely
Yes.
not the right time. Yeah.
Right, right. Of course, on that online classes being conducted, of course, there are now divergent views about putting too much of pressure on the child and all of that. But we will discuss all of those
Exactly.
things. But would like to bring in Roopa here. Roopa, your thoughts, and also, with all these protocols to be followed, social distancing has to be there, proper hygiene is to be there. So, what do you think? Are we really in that space right now to reopen the schools?
Yes, thank you, Oineetom. See, my view here is there's two requirements that they're putting in for these schools to open up. One is social distancing, and the other one is wearing masks. Now, social distancing, if I don't trust my 12-year-old to go to school and be socially distanced all the time, it's just not possible. They want to play with their friends, and who's going to take a look at them all the time, right? And the other thing, which is the more worrisome one, is the mask. A mask, as much as we like the whole protection of a mask, it is also a prime way to keep the carbon dioxide inside your face all the time. So do you want your kid to have 8 hours of air that doesn't flow around? That is not done. I think we need to stay either till the country has 21 days of no COVID. My state, which is Mumbai, has 21 days of no COVID, or better still, there's a vaccine. Before
Right.
that, I don't
Right.
want to send my kid to school. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
yeah.
Lima, bringing you back in now about this whole, online education, and like Rupa has mentioned, this is something that many parents across the country are saying that let there be zero COVID days for 21 days. No cases are reported for the next 21 days, maybe, and then maybe they would feel a little more comfortable to send their children in. Now, your points on the whole online education thing, because many are saying, many child right activists are also expressing a lot of concern on this particular issue, that yes, online education classes, completing the academic year is very necessary. The syllabus has to be done. Of course, we do understand all of those, but are our children really able to, cope up with the kind of pressure that they are going through now? Because this is something very new to each kid across the country.
Uh, See, this is something very new, but you also have to look at the brighter side. As a mother, when I see my child, I just feel that things are so much more in control. I know what he is learning and I know what is going on. We get regular WhatsApp, screenshots of what has been taught. He does his online classes on his own, but I'm there. But the situation is slightly different when both the parents are working. So in
Right.
that cases also, in those kind of cases also, we have to think. I mean, what about parents? Suppose you both the parents are health workers. What do you do with the child then? So those are certain concerns there. But overall, if you really look at the curve, I mean the graph, the we have to let the peak go. The curve has to be down. I mean, we cannot in any situation, any case, we cannot let our children go to school at this moment. And
Right.
the education, I mean, the lessons of the school, it is 100% online. But this is the best that we have right now, isn't it? So
Yes.
I think for me, this is the way it is for now, at least.
Right, right. In fact, I'm getting a few comments from teachers as well. They're saying that it is not even the right thing. It would be very wrong to expose teachers as well. That is Pranjoy Das writing in. Then there's Arindam Keot. He has written in saying, I am a teacher. Concerned are we too. We must work out a conceivable strategy to address this. Uh, Manju ma'am, coming to you on this entire thing about teachers, online classes that is happening, the health of the children, because like I have been saying and this show repeatedly, many are saying that a lot of stress happening as far as the children are concerned. And now the teacher's perspective too,
Yes.
which teachers are flagging here. What are your thoughts?
Now, I run a Montessori school, and they are 5-year-old children, and I don't think any mother at this stage, as all the other participants are saying, is the right time to send them to private school. Not a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, or any case. We have tried our best through online teaching because the subjects are not vast and they are quite able to cope the studies, the studies that are given to them. But to come to school to open up at this stage, but I don't know if the government has instructed that the Montessori section should be open just now because the older classes after class 8. But even
Yeah,
the younger Montessori, okay, it is impossible to have social distancing with the children. Having,
Exactly.
as Maitrayee said, you have a child wear a mask all the time, and whether it's 2 hours or 3 hours, and also social distancing for little children. It's very
right.
difficult, and they are
Yeah.
children. They come out after so long to a school. It will be very difficult to maintain a social distancing for them. And at this stage, to open up a school, I don't think it is the right time. And unless some measures are taken for bigger schools in view of maintenance of procedures for all public and private schools, government also should have a standard of procedures for all the public and private schools, rural or metro schools, to be able to cope with the situation. But at this moment, in June as such, I don't think it is advisable to open up the schools just now.
Right, ma'am. And what you're saying is that the government should take proper measures, proper steps, and proper
Absolutely.
operating procedures should be there. But of course, if they decide to open right now, those steps will have to be taken on all footing, and drastic steps will have to be taken. Shrutimala, coming to you on the whole teacher's perspective, the education syllabus that has to be completed, what do you think?
If you're talking about school, that
Yes.
will be very difficult for me to say.
No,
Uh,
overall, as an educator, as an academician, how do you look at this thing talking about no, this is the year we have to finish this kind of thing. How do you look at such a rush at the cost of the health
uh,
of?
yes, that is, first of all, like, you have the whole life in front of you. Like,
Yeah.
learning is a never ending process,
Yes.
right? So, here, uh, about the syllabus, something can be done, something can be made short now, because the time demands that, like, the syllabus, say, if you have around, say, 10 chapters, make it
Yeah.
6 now. So that is how I
Yes.
see it. Because, like, as I've said, health is more important than, like, covering the syllabus. And
Yes.
everything, just because you have 10 chapters, you need not complete all the 10 chapters, and thereby putting pressure on the child. And I've seen that, like, I've been in touch with a few of my colleagues whose children have been quite pressurized. It's not necessary to put so much of pressure on them. So let this
Right.
be a learning experience in other ways also. You learn to use your digital platform. You learn to do some sort of learning in a different way. That is also learning. Learning is not just a textbook.
Yes.
So that's how I
Yes.
see it.
Absolutely. Right. Juhie, how concerned are you as far as the completing the syllabus and finishing the courses are concerned?
I think we'll get by there. I I don't think that's really a concern at all. I as a parent I am, yes, concerned about my child's social needs.
Yeah.
Families
Yeah.
where there are large setups and children have cousins and siblings to play with, it's fine. I Where they have space to play in, it's great. But if that,
Yeah.
then that's a constraint, then it's an issue. So I think the child social needs is a concern for me. Like Shruti Malaba said, academic goals are never ending, and it's a life process. Pandemics
Yes.
have occurred in the past generations as well. So
Right.
we will get by there. And I think the kids, I think Lima was sharing that the kids are doing wonderfully well, and we are more clued into what they're doing
Yeah.
in their
Yes.
academics.
Yes. Yes. That was Lima who said that. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, Lima, you would want to add a few more things there? Lima, can you hear us? Okay, let's bring Roopa
Sorry?
in.
Yeah, can you just repeat your question, please?
Yeah, so Lima just wanted to hear more from you on the whole, education system and completing the syllabus, all of that stuff. What is a prime worry at this point of time as far as your kids are concerned?
S- Yeah, see, my prime worry, but I'm really not too worried about the urban,
Yeah.
scenario. But yeah, we have to think about the rural
As
scenario as
well,
well.
exactly.
What about the rural places where you don't have online classes, right?
Yes.
So, and what if there are no COVID cases out there, you know, in the very interior? But can we also think about some means to start schools there, maybe partially, because there are guidelines that have been, given by the UNESCO and the WHO,
Right.
that probably we could find out certain means for opening schools there, or maybe it's time for the government also to go for a digital system. Now is a good time, it's really a good time, so why not? There's so many options. But as far as the urban scenario is concerned, I think our kids are doing very, I mean, it's just all good till now.
Right.
I'm very
Right.
happy with the way
Is it
things are
more?
going.
Yes, Manju ma'am, you wanted to say something. Okay, let's get Rupa in here. And also, now I would really want to hear going forward, what are some of the top five things or something, and what are your thoughts going forward? What should really happen so that, our kids don't suffer health-wise as well as education-wise?
So yes, if I may add to this whole debate about schools and the system of studying, as Juhie said, there's no rat race. My boys can finish their courses next year. I'm okay with it. The point we have to understand is that online is not just taking your course and putting it on a Zoom chat room or on WhatsApp and pushing it out to the kids. Online system is your course modules that are completely 360 degrees put into an online system like a school intranet, and that's how online works. Now, so for us to just say okay, Zoom, okay, WhatsApp, that doesn't work. I have also met a lot of mothers in Bombay who are from the vernacular schools and who are from, say, the ICC schools, which are not very online oriented. They are saying, give us the books instead of my kid going through a WhatsApp. Just give us the books. We'll make them study at home. It's homeschooling. It's the most original form of schooling. So that's what I think we need to see. It is very different. Maybe some of our kids are going online. Maybe some of us will do homeschooling. Maybe some will go digital through Doordarshan or whatever. It's all
Yes.
different ways to do it. Just pushing a cookie cutter online, there is no cookie cutter online. And if I may add just one more point, the biggest IB schools in Bombay had the online system ready since 2611. So whoever of us benefited from that, this is not something that came up last month. So it's a whole world out there. Yeah.
Yes. Maitrayee, what would be your concluding remarks? Because
Well, I think this is the new normal for us now. So we should be all ready to embrace the online education. And of course, it's going to be a challenge, just not for the students, also for the teachers, because it's something new for India. But having said that, um, I have seen my son completing his first grade through online classes, and it was fantastic. It was done in a very nice way. That was in March, just
yeah,
before the lockdown. And it was done in a very nice way. The kids were all engaged, and that's what we want. Of course, it can't be a 7 hour school, maybe, but
Yeah.
right.
maybe compressed to a 4 hour school. But that really worked well, and I'm looking forward to online classes for the
Right.
kids. And yeah,
And
that's
yes,
what I have got to say.
yep. Coming to Manju ma'am, on the issue of, most of my panelists, they have raised the issue of kids in the rural area. Lima has raised this point. What about them? While we are, urban areas, everything, most of the things are taken care of, not just education, even healthcare wise also. But what about those rural kids in the rural areas? And also, going forward, how would you like things to shape up?
I think as COVID really hasn't affected the rural areas, the schools there are much more safer than our schools over here. And the more is the social distancing of the students and the sanitization.
Yeah.
And of course, the schools in the rural areas have to be really sanitized properly, and especially the toiletries and all that. And the midday meals should be supervised and seen to it that they are prepared under very hygienic conditions. And also to give nutritious food to the rural children so they can uh, go ahead with their online classes cannot
Yeah.
be done over there. So
Right.
maybe schools opening uh, during June or July in the rural areas may not be such a bad idea, but in
Right.
the urban areas, I don't think it is very advisable.
Okay, okay. Shrutimala, your concluding remarks and your thoughts on the whole, rural perspective.
Well, about the rural perspective, I would say that today actually I had called up one of my friends who is a DC in Halmora, and she said that here it's very difficult to do anything online because here people are too poor to get an Android phone, and here the whole of June they have decided to not to open, and we don't know about July. But as a whole, I would like to say this, that like if we have seen all over the world that the curve goes up and then at a point of time it comes down. So in India, the curve is still up. And though
Right.
we say that in Assam, we don't have too many cases, we don't know, as I've said, how many are carriers actually. So the curve is still on the rise, maybe slow, but it's on the rise. So till the curve comes down, we cannot actually think of opening schools because otherwise it would be like South Korea, where they had opened the schools and then suddenly, like there was a second wave and they had to close it down. There were instances where a student's mother turned out to be positive, working in the warehouse. So, and again in Germany, it happened. They opened up the school, again had to hurriedly close down. So, are we waiting for schools to open, see that there is a second wave is going to come in or not, and then close down? Or are we going to take our safety measures and not open the school till actually we are sure that the curve is actually coming down?
Okay, we'll come
I
to
have a
Julie. Yes, yes,
sorry.
yes,
Yeah.
sir. Yes,
Can I just
please.
say something adding to that, to Shruti
Yes.
Malaba? Israel, where they opened up schools, 200 kids
Yes.
COVID positive, and then 10,000, sorry, my doggy is behind me, 10,000 people quarantined overnight. We don't need that. We have
See.
enough problems in our country.
Yes.
You don't need a
Right.
10,000 people quarantined overnight. I just wanted to add to her. Yeah.
Right, right, right. Yes, we'll come to you for your concluding thoughts as
Sure,
well, Roopa.
sure, sure, sure.
Juhie, your thoughts, your concluding thoughts.
So, anything that I wanted to share when I was hearing everyone speak, uh, at Flow, we were trying to reach out to our rural region and
Yes.
the weavers there and trying to use this
Can you
time
show?
when work is otherwise very, very low to skill them up. And for this purpose, we were trying to connect with them on the digital medium. And
Okay,
that's
yeah.
when we realized that the fear is equally high for them. So, as parents, whether we are here in the urban settings or in the rural settings, the concerns and the fears are the same. But yes,
Right.
we are blessed with a system where we are digitally connected.
Mm.
Having said that, if digital connection is a problem, and it is, we are not prepared as a system and as a country for the same in the rural areas, then can we send out a message of stay at home learning and the value that perhaps in next couple of months are going to bring in with respect to skills that children can pick up staying at home. I think a lot of us are doing that. We parents have a little more time at hand, children have more
Online.
time at their hand, they are available. So connecting and life skills and even vocational skills for that matter, depending
Yes,
on the age
yes,
of the child, of course.
yes, a good point there.
It's
In fact, I
wishful
would,
thinking, yes, because there's got to be a system to execute this, but that's what occurs to me right now.
but yeah, but only when you think about such things, maybe someday these things will become a reality. So there's this message from Indrani Sinha Das. She's written in saying that video lessons on Doordarshan, I think, is what she's suggesting. For all the classes would be really helpful for rural areas. Why should we put children in rural areas where hygiene is an issue at risk? Till the curve goes down, we should not make our children guinea pigs for herd immunity. I guess very valid point. Lima.
Yeah. So I think we've all come to the conclusion that this is just not the time for opening up schools, but it is definitely the time for three things. First is to make policies and see how we can implement them. Secondly, the practices, which we are going to follow, and to make sure that those practices will be followed. And lastly, the infrastructure. We need to build infrastructure. We need to have infrastructure which will help, our students maintain physical distancing and respiratory and hand hygiene, all these things, the toilets, the buses, the classrooms.
Right.
So all these things need to be taken care of. We need to prepare ourselves because at one point we have to open up schools.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
So
We-
it is not now, but definitely in the future. So this is the time to act. That's what I feel.
Rupa, finally
And
to you.
Anita,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes,
I just
Manju.
wanted to add. Yeah, I just wanted to add to what Lima just mentioned.
Yes.
I think we should have a compliance body. You call it a compliance body or something like that in every school, wherein you check whether those practices are being followed. So you can have everything in a book, but you do not follow them, right? So it is important that the SOPs, the standard operating procedures, which are laid down, are followed once the schools reopen physically. I think that's something that should be there from now on
Yes.
for from the time the schools reopen for some time. I think that's
Okay,
another
so
important thing,
yeah,
is what I feel. And at the end of the day, I think
Absolutely.
it's all about, yeah, I think it's all about imparting education. It's not about going back to school. So
right.
the
Right.
focus should be on education, imparting education, whatever be the mode of imparting. We should be happy. Yes, we are lucky. We are in the urban sector. We have online education. We are digitally strong. But yes, like I think someone mentioned in the chat as well, that we have television as a mode. We can
Yes.
have radio stations as a mode that can be used,
Right.
because television, again, we have power cut issues all over India, so especially in the rural sector. So I think we
Yes.
can look at radio station. I think that's another good way of imparting education.
Yeah, alternate
That's
modes
what I
to
feel.
impart
Absolutely.
education. And
Yes, yes, why
you're
not?
also what you're also asking for is a proper monitoring mechanism that whatever procedures are
Yes,
set are strictly adhered
right,
to. Right.
right.
Rupa, finally
A,
to
a
you.
checklist, basically, a checklist that needs to be,
Right.
followed.
Yes. Yes. Rupa.
Yes, I think I agree with everything. And my only word is that, the COVID is just shooting up in our country right now, the virus. So it is for us to be extremely careful. The only reason the country is opening up today is because of financial reasons. For nothing else, the country is opening up. So let's not make our kids guinea pigs, and let's not get into the mode that they will help us get herd immunity. It's not going to happen. So that would be my,
Absolutely.
absolutely strong conviction on this one.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. That was lovely having all of you on the panel today and a lovely discussion. I hope the authorities will take note of most of these points and they will really act very prudently because it's our children that we are talking about. Thank you all once again. Thank you, Manju ma'am, for joining today. Lovely. It was really wonderful to have you on the show. Dr. Srutimala Duara, thank you so much. Maitrayee joining from Mumbai. Roopa Baruah also joining in from Mumbai. Lima, despite all your busy stuff with your kid and everything. Of course, all of you are moms out there.
I'm from Guwahati.
Yes, yes. Oh, okay, yeah. Now, but yes, you're in and out of that place. And Juhie, thanks between webinars joining. So lovely having all you ladies on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. Thank you, viewers.
Thank you,
Yes.
Anita.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you,
having
And
us.
Anirudh.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Stay
everyone.
safe.
bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.